Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Coffee Roaster Warm-Up Sessions podcast. This is episode 207. This is all about how to crush catering your next coffee event. Now, this could also go for how to just serve coffee to a very decent sized group of people. And this episode is a little special for me because I just got married a few days ago, and Sergi helped me cater the entire event with some delicious coffee. We sourced a special Colombian geisha from Jorge Rojas, and we learned a lot. We learned about how to make the best out of limited equipment, failing equipment, how to optimize workflow, bar flow, how to keep pumping out beverages, and just working with a limited mobile setup. And so I hope you get something out of this. This was a fun episode to record. But without further ado, let's get into this. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another episode of the Coffee Roaster Warm-Up Sessions podcast. My name is Mark Kotrovsky. I'm here with Sergi Kotrovsky, co-owners of Mirror Coffee Roasters, a small coffee roastery up in the Pacific Northwest in Bellingham, Washington. And per Coffee Roaster Warm-Up Sessions tradition. Let's pour some batchy. This will be a very interesting and special batchy. We'll see. I haven't brewed this on Aiden yet, but we'll see how it tastes. Am I gonna complain that it's too hot? Yes. Even though I brewed it like 7 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago.
Yeah. It is too hot for sure.
Maybe that carafe maybe actually does its job.
I also rinsed the filter, and when I dumped out the water, I didn't open the lid.
Okay. So it was a little preheated.
It was a little warm.
Yeah.
I gotta say, this coffee has like absolutely incredible mouthfeel. No matter how you brew it. It is the definition of silky mouthfeel.
Yeah, this is the texture is nice. It's very nice.
Honestly, I don't remember if we talked about this. What'd you change in the roast? I haven't seen your last two curves.
The biggest thing was the last one. It was kind of like an oddball one out, but before that, actually did something very similar. Just pushed 0, that last gas change before crack, a little out.
Okay.
And then went to 0 like 15 seconds later, which is pretty close to crack.
It didn't crash?
No. Pushed it out to kind of give it a little bit more heat going into crack so that it could actually go further. Because Scott and I were looking for a little bit more punch out of it. And he said, hey, it needs probably needs a little bit more development. And
it's too delicate.
Too delicate. So we just went a little further, got more weight loss, got more color on it to kind of just bring out those flavors to the forefront. It was just a few small tweaks, and then it landed, exactly the markers, the specs that we were looking for.
Oh, okay.
And that's, nice. That's what we served on espresso. But then also, this is actually like an earlier roast. This is one of the earlier ones. This is this is on the much lighter side than
what is
we
this?
did. I don't know. Still like 107 or something.
Oh, that's way lighter than what we aimed for.
Yeah, because you did 105.
I did 105.
And then I tried to do a few other roasts, and it ended up being lighter actually. But
okay. Yeah, okay, gotcha. So this is slightly later than my roast.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, this coffee is a Colombia Tolima, a geisha white honey processed from Jorge Rojas. This is, this roast, just comparing, is much more like delicate and not as punchy with flavor. But it's just delicate, so it's not a bad or worse in terms of punchiness. It's just what do you want out of the cup, which this coffee is interesting because we did like a much lighter roast and a slightly more omni roast, as one may call it, and you're like, oh, they're both like nice, They're both like, it was so weird because usually I'm like, oh man, like this is a little overdeveloped, and it's like, it's, you know, you get some of that overdevelopedness usually covers up some and intrudes on the cup in an unpleasing way. But when I cupped it, I was like, oh, this is actually still very, very pleasant. Like not something that commonly happens. But yeah. And then I did another roast, and that was like like one of those warm up machine flukes. But it actually ended up being probably my favorite roast of all of them.
Really?
It was 1 point lighter than the Scott's preference. No, you didn't. So I have some saved for you. Okay. Those are the ones that went for the gift bags. It was phenomenal. Okay, cool. It was phenomenal. So, yeah, this has some lingering fruit on it. I don't know. I'm still getting like that apple Jolly Rancher. That's what keeps poking out to me. Like every time I taste it, I cup it. I'm like, apple Jolly Rancher, apple Jolly. It just in there. It's got that juiciness, and then I'm getting like a cranberry-ish tart. I keep getting.
I'm getting that too. For sure.
Which is, it's very pleasant actually. Yeah. Very pleasant. Like it's that like 2% of like a Kenyan that I'm getting. Like that tartiness, but it's very nice because it's also coming from a geisha. So which is, I guess, I don't know, it's a little unexpected, but
yeah, I agree. I really like this coffee. I agree with the fact that the interpretation of it between different variations of roast is absolutely bonkers because it's consistent throughout the flavor profile. It's just different highs and lows, but the consistency of flavor is always present in the cup when I cupped it, because I cupped 3 different roasts of it, and I was like, yeah, you know, I know which one's my favorite, but I also I think if I got one or the other roast, I'd be fine. I'd be like, oh, that's an interesting take. You know what I mean? But it's still fine. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even as this cools, I don't know, that apple Jolly Rancher, I just can't. It's very nice, honestly. Not like, I wouldn't consider this like a typical geisha. It's slightly different, but it definitely still has a lot of geisha qualities. Yeah. But just to give some context, I'm sorry, you guys, I probably should have mentioned this maybe I'll mention this in the intro, so you guys know what we're talking about. But so I just got married a few days ago, and we sourced a coffee from Colombia. Shout out to Nikolai from Colombia for hooking us up with some great green. But we sourced a really nice geisha from Jorge Rojas. Very, very, just very tasty. Very nice. Just very small quantity, just so we can, serve at the wedding and give it out for, just like wedding gifts or whatever you call them. It's very, it's a very nice coffee to serve for free for a group of 60 people or whatever. A little too nice, but yeah. So we had Sergi with our buddy Sam come out and help cater the wedding and serve guests at the wedding with this coffee. And I think there's a lot of stuff that we can learn from just catering weddings or catering events in general. If you have a mobile setup that we can talk through here, and you can maybe share your experience. And I'm also curious to hear how that went. And I think there's some tips and tricks that you can do to kind of make your workflow a little easier, faster, better, all that jazz. So I don't know, where do you want to start? What's coming to mind?
I think the first thing is understanding if you are wanting to go into this endeavor because you've worked in the cafe before, and you can say like, oh yeah, I've worked in a high volume cafe. I feel like I can manage this and do this really, really well. This is going to be an interesting perspective for you. If you're someone who's never worked in coffee and you're like, oh, I'll start with catering, like events and weddings first, and then we'll start, and then maybe open a cafe or get into like working in the cafe setting. This will be a very interesting episode for you as well, because there's a big difference when it comes to your background and stepping into event catering and especially weddings. One of the things I think a lot of people don't consider is that you may, in a cafe, let's say you have about, 300 tickets and they're over the course of 8 hours.
Yep.
At an event or at a wedding, you're getting about, your wedding was slightly smaller. It was like under 100. But at an average wedding, you're getting 200 tickets over the scope of maybe an hour and a half.
Yep.
So when we're talking about high volume, we're talking about like you are cranking. There is like, if bar flow was important in a cafe, bar flow on a coffee cart is absolutely crucial. If understanding how to multitask and prepare multiple drinks and being alert and having that bar intelligence, knowing the little things that you need to execute on, if you thought that was important in the cafe, at an event, it's 10 times more important. And then also understanding that, especially, it's different when like, okay, family, like even Sam, like he's tight with the family. Like your wedding was very intimate. And that is like an absolute like just blessing because it was easy for me to, interact with people. I don't have to basically get to know people.
Right.
But if you're catering a stranger's wedding, you have to understand that your job is to serve unreasonable hospitality.
Right.
How are you going to do that when you're, slamming through 100+ drinks in an hour? So you have to consider those things, and those things are way more important when it comes to a coffee cart or catering an event.
Yep. If you work behind bar right now, just think about your most busiest rush time, but you don't have all the perks of being behind a well-established bar, and you don't have all the perks of having the top tier equipment, and and then you just have to crush nonstop.
Yep.
And so I think the biggest, knowing that, because you've done actually some wedding stuff, we've done some catering as well for Mir, for some events, low key.
Yeah.
So my thought process was when we were talking about it before, and was, okay, we know that the gear is always a bottleneck. Because you have a mobile setup, you can't have a two group linear PB. And you, the other difficulty is, single group head machines are also, they need time to heat up. They oftentimes can't keep up when you have an insane rush back to back to back. So the thought process was like, okay, how do we use what we have, optimize workflow, optimize for the gear, optimize how we pull espresso even, to make sure we limit the amount of wait time that guests have, and just crush through as much as possible. So that was kind of the headspace, because all those things are in a mobile setup. Like the odds are not in your favor. Yeah. That's just the reality of it. And that's the hardest thing about catering an event where you get slammed with a bunch of people all at once.
Yeah.
The odds are not in your favor. So at that point, you just have to say, okay, how do I remove as much friction points as possible, knowing that either way there will be friction points?
Yeah. You basically prepare the best you can and then execute in a way that's like, okay, I'm here to problem solve. Like, you just have to be quick. Like the bar intelligence, you have to be a quick thinker and think of quick solutions. One of the problems we ran into immediately, and you and I prepped fairly well. I'll give you this, and like one of the things that we did really, really well before even we set anything up is we said, hey, with the limitations that we have, we're going to simplify the menu. And I think if you're catering a wedding, talk to the person, or you're catering an event, talk to the host, talk to the wedding coordinator, talk to the bride and groom, talk to the event planner, and be like, hey, like, what is important for you? And build off of that, but don't go over the top. Like, please don't have 10 different syrups. Please don't have 10 different sizes. What you and I did is we had one syrup I made from scratch. That was absolutely stunning. It was like and you don't know this, and only Paul knows this, and Alex.
Wow.
It was a vanilla bourbon syrup that I made. That was absolutely stunning. Like everyone was. Paul got 2.
Why didn't you tell me? I would have had some.
Oh, I should have. I have some left over, but it was like,
I might
it was
need
a
to
vanilla
snack some
bourbon.
so I can
like,
make some at home.
yeah, it was super yummy.
Wow.
I mean, of course, like you're pairing it with a geisha, which is always weird to have a flavored latte with a,
But why not,
$100 a pound geisha.
yeah.
You're like,
I mean, it's not $100 a pound, but it's
retail
it's very
up
much so.
there.
Yeah.
So like we simplified the menu to one size, hot or iced, one type of alternative, or one type of milk, no alternatives, which was ballsy, and one syrup. So one, that makes bar flow very, very quick. No matter what, it's just that cup, right? So that simplified a lot.
And I'll interrupt you for a quick second. That is also why, for example, like Chick-fil-A only serves chicken sandwiches, some chicken strips, and has a very simplified menu versus something like, a Burger King or like a McDonald's or other fast food chain. That's literally because the less things that you can have on your menu, the more streamlined you can get.
Yeah.
The problem is if you have like 20 different things on your menu and somebody orders, if all those drinks get ordered like 2 drinks each, dude, you're taking too much time.
Way too much.
So that's why it's okay to simplify. And I would say like you can always like try to talk the people that you're serving into going with 1-2 syrups at most, and just simplify. Anyways,
or get creative with the syrup problem. Like if they're like, oh, I want a vanilla and a caramel, you're like, dude, can I make like a toasted brown sugar vanilla that'll kind of scratch both itches? Get creative with it. That's also why they're hiring you, because you're a professional,
right?
So like execute on that, like stretch yourself, be creative, but make sure that you prepare for simplicity and high volume execution. That is absolutely key. So first thing we run into, first issue, we set everything up. I was working on a new machine, so I put all of my attention on the new machine that I was working with, trying to figure out what are some quirks, what do I need to know, how does the pump engage, all of the things. I've never used this machine before. That was my first time.
Machine, for those, giving a little bit of context so you can be thinking about this as we're talking. We had a Breville dual boiler, which is something I just brought from home. And then we had an E65 GBW. Yeah,
for grinder.
Yeah, for grinder. And then we also had a Profotech Pro 600. So 2 single group machines with 1 grinder.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So I was dialing in for 2 different recipes. In one recipe, I knew for a fact like you and Ella are going to order black coffee. So I wanted to make sure that you guys got the best espresso experience I could execute on at a wedding with the limitations. So that was my first focus. When I got behind the machine, when we set up the table, I got my Weber Unibasket, made an espresso recipe for you and Ella first. And I was like, okay, how are we going to serve that? And then knowing that if someone else orders it, I already have your recipe set, I can deliver as well.
Perfect.
Second,
Ella also said it was the best Americano she's ever had in her life. So props to some of the magic behind bars.
Yeah.
So.
But also like context, Americano, that it was like a 5 ounce, it was basically espresso slightly diluted with water.
Diluted,
yeah. So of course it's going to be, that's the recipe in itself is like the
nice.
Best recipe ever if you like Americanos. Yeah. Anyway, so like, and my dial for that geisha on the Unibasket with EPF and with the puck screen was 16 grams in, 45 grams out in about 19 seconds. And it was absolutely stunning.
Beautiful.
Amazing. But that was my dial for you guys. Separately, I knew that I needed to create, because Sam and I went back and forth in tasting the dial, and he's like, no, and Sam has different preferences than I do. I like my espressos large, delicate, quote unquote watery. He wants more punch out of it. So he's like, hey, can we do a milk recipe that looks like this? Which his recipe was like, how about we do 16 in, like 40 to 42 out in about 20 seconds. So slightly finer, slightly more condensed. And that's what we ended up using for milk majority of the time.
What's 16 in?
Yeah.
Oh, no
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
For all.
For all. Yeah. We
That's
didn't change the
interesting.
dose.
Okay.
Yeah. We just changed the yield.
Yeah.
And I only tweaked the grinder once because when you came up, I think you and maybe, our brother ordered an Americano.
Yep.
So I tweaked the grinder actually a couple of times. I didn't really tweak it a lot.
Perfect.
So that was the thing. So we're setting up. We're about to roll. Ceremonies like over. We're pulling shots, and Sam is like, "Dude, the dual boiler is not engaging. Like, or the Breville dual boiler is not engaging. Pump is not going. Nothing. We got some steam rolling, and we realized that okay." When we planned to have 2 people, we had 2 machines and the grinder in the middle, hoping that 2 people could pull espresso and serve drinks and send them out opposite ways. So imagine it was almost like, I don't know what shape that would be, kind of like peaked in the middle where we meet at the grinder and go out,
Yes.
middle out.
That's great.
And I expected that to be, and obviously we don't have a pitcher rinser, so we need to move towards each other when we're dumping water. So I didn't want us to cross paths.
Yep.
And that was my idea for the bar flow. But then when that machine goes out, we had to meet in the middle, basically.
Yeah.
And the key was, hey, how many shots can I pull on that single group to set Sam up to be able to execute with milk and then also be able to steam milk as well to deliver on drinks. So one of the major keys is even if you are serving by yourself or you're serving with another partner and you're trying to utilize the most you can with a single group machine, buy multiple portafilters. That is absolutely key. Our grinder was crushing. It was fast. I mean, that's the other thing. Don't underestimate the grinder. We talked about this all the time. Like, grinder is key, but it's even more key when you're trying to crank out 100 tickets. And if your grinder is grinding for 20 seconds, that's a problem.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I think the gear gear does matter in a place like this. So the thought behind that of having 2 machines was because I know that single groups, especially at 110 volt power, they just take time to heat up. You can drain your boiler because you're just crushing back to back to back, but then the boiler has to heat up, bring in water, and heat the whole thing up. That's like you're sitting around for 10 minutes. That sucks to be twiddling your thumbs. Yeah. But if you have 2 machines with 2 steam wands, pretty much 2 setups, it's almost kind of closer to a 2 group head machine. And you're busting out drinks twice as fast. So that was one thing. Yeah. But then on top of that, like the grinder for sure. I would highly recommend if you have a cart, splurge on a E65 Malconing or like an E80, something that's like commercial, because you cannot be there, grinding on that Rancilio or the Rocket grinder. Your grind time cannot be 15, 20 seconds, 25 seconds. It just can't. Because if you're thinking like, again, you're crushing through 150 orders, 50 people are standing in line waiting to get to order. If you're grinding for 15, 20 seconds, that's too much time.
Yeah. There's not much you can do. You can continue prepping like maybe syrups, marking cups. You can do that. Yeah.
Yeah. And multitasking is the big thing.
The little things.
Yeah. But I mean, the other thing you could do is if you have a slow grinder is, you can have more portafilters.
Yeah.
So then you're like constantly grinding. It's always grinding, and you're always. So you should always have 2 or 3 portafilters ready for a shot of espresso while you're cleaning and grinding. I mean, with like an E65, you're good with just grinding on demand because it's like a 4 or 5 second grind or whatever.
Yeah, it's so quick, incredible. Especially 16 grams.
Yeah,
like 20 grams is going to be maybe a little longer, but 16 is like, it was just 3 seconds. It was so quick.
But that's just a must. Like you can't like that. You need something powerful. So anyways.
So that was the thing. And then going back to the little things, like understanding that the things you do in between drinks. So let's say 5 people walked up straight and you crushed out and you might have a little gap. Understanding that gap is absolutely key to set you up. And that is common knowledge when you're in the cafe. There is no time to stand around in the cafe. Absolutely not. Yes. You're always setting yourself up for the next rush or cleaning up.
For sure.
But especially when you're on a condensed spot, like every little mistake you make is like detrimental in a small space. And the key is the small space is also easier to clean up, but every small mess is a big mess.
Yep.
So like every small spill is a big spill.
Yes,
so like eliminating those or cleaning those up even quicker and making sure again that you're setting yourself up for success throughout the whole thing. So that's key. And it's helpful when you're working with a second person, because when one person is like finishing up a drink, the other one can set each other up and going back and forth. That is absolutely key. So that was one of the major things that we had to like tackle, was figuring out how to basically go from expectation of like, I'm pulling 2 shots of espresso to 1. What I got to say about the machine itself is I really like that the Breville dual boiler has a little window for water. The challenge was that on the other machine, whatever it was, there was no window for making sure that I knew how much water was in the tank. And there's no little gauge. There's nothing that was telling me like, hey, you're about to run out of water. So one of the things that actually like slowed me down was I had to refill water, but only like 3 times. So it wasn't that much. Again, you didn't have like this massive wedding, so I didn't have to worry about it that much. But that did slow me down, because then it needs to reheat, and that was a slight delay. Yeah. But that wasn't a delay because the machine couldn't keep up. That was the delay because I didn't know the level of water and I let it run out. Right?
Speaking of water, something to look for in a machine is definitely would be a good idea to make sure it's a dual boiler. But look at the machine reservoir, the boiler size, because the bigger the boiler, the more runway that you have before it has to heat back up. Yep. If you have a very small boiler, again, you're just gonna have to wait. Like you just have to think about it in cycles of like, hey, you pull 10 shots and now you have to wait for it to heat up. Well, you could either pull 5 and wait for it to heat up, or you can pull 15 and wait for it to heat up.
Yeah.
And if heat up, takes about the same on both, well, shoot, pulling 15 back to back is going to be much more just streamlined. But
yeah, and that was my kind of major critique of the machine. I was absolutely surprised in how well it kept up. Like I didn't have a single issue on that machine. Which again, using something brand new that I've never used before, there was a slight learning curve. But at the end of the day, once I figured out what all the buttons do, I felt as comfortable as I would on a commercial machine, which is wild. Amazing. It steamed slightly slower again, but like my milk texture was phenomenal. My latte art was like as good as it's ever been, which also is like wild. I haven't worked behind bar in a very long time. And I was like, oh, heck yeah, I'm like close. I can get to competition level very quick. So that was like very encouraging for even on that machine. Like not sponsored by these guys, nothing, but I'm hyping up this machine. Like it's great. It worked really, really well.
Yeah. I'm pumped. When you told me that, I was just surprised because I was expecting a lot more hiccups and waiting and, recycling and stuff like that. So the other thing is, on top of that, I want to mention is we decided to go with splitting shots. Yeah. So we had a spouted portafilter that would just split each shot into, or no, you didn't use that. No, did you?
I used both. I used a naked one and I used
Okay. Yeah. So we decided because you want to make things go as fast as possible and not allow the machine to take time heating up. That's why I told Sergio, I'm like, hey, let's just split every single shot and do 1-shot beverages, which means actually that to keep in mind like ratios and making sure it's not too milky, we had 1 size drink. Again, streamlining the whole process. So we had 8-ounce cups, that or smaller.
Yeah. And
so all of a sudden, every shot is actually you're serving 2 cups.
Yep.
So if you just think about it, I mean, you're literally expediting
by 50%.
By 50%. That's insane. Yeah. That's insane. Yeah. And that just saves, again, with heat up time with the machine. It lets you serve beverages faster. Again, not the best, not optimal, 100%. Probably not my favorite drink of choice. But if you can come down on drink, I don't know, taste preference or whatever.
Yeah.
Make it a
Still
little
using
worse.
a geisha.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
what?
Making it a little like 10% worse by having one shot. But if you're expediting speed by so much more, I would argue in a setting like that, people would much rather take speed over, that little bump of taste. And you can account for that.
Yep.
And the other thing is also I know you didn't make very many ice drinks, or maybe at all.
I made like 3.
3 ice drinks. Yeah. Ice drinks are a huge win as well, because all you need is ice and some cold milk. So you pull the shot and you're done. So again, you're not using the power of the machine as much. You're letting the steam boiler recycle. You're letting the machine breathe. So if you could push ice drinks,
or make a cold brew, like that's another thing, especially if you're catering an evening event. Making a decaf cold brew, dude. If they say, "Hey, do you have a decaf?" and you don't have to pull an espresso, that wasn't the case. Like I think, like our crowd of people, especially Slavic people, don't drink decaf. Like they'll drink like black tea till midnight. You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter. So like having a decaf option in a cold brew form, and having cold brew in general, think about this. Like not only is it quicker to execute, it reduces strain on the equipment. It lets the equipment calm down. So I think that's a very big benefit. And 100%. The other part, again, going back to bar intelligence, like when I slowed down, had a little gap, when people settled down and were eating food and less people were walking up, like Matt Dealey walked up and he's like, "Oh, I want a cortado." Dude, I know the best cortado is going to be with a full shot of espresso. I'm pulling him a full.
Yeah, right.
I get to make that choice on the fly. Like if I can, I knew that the reason we changed things up was for efficiency and flow. We wanted to serve people well, and we wanted to have the coffee quality not be the issue that we have to deal with. So we set that standard, like, okay, we're going to make the best way we can make a drink with just a split shot. But when it came to an opportunity to like, okay, same thing, German ordered a little iced Americano, and I had time. I was like, dude, I'm pulling you a double. Like, you know what I mean? So I had those opportunities that I was like, okay, I'm going to tweak things, and people don't need to know.
Yeah.
Matt Dealey doesn't need to know that he had a double and everyone had a single.
100%.
No one needs to know.
Yeah.
The beverage is yummy. That's all. And he thinks everybody else had the same yummy beverage. He had probably one of the better beverages in the house that night, No one needs to know.
100%. 100%. Yeah. Some of those things you just like, as long as the beverage tastes good. The worst thing, honestly, is like when I've been at weddings with coffee carts. It sucks when you're just standing in line for 30 minutes and you're not hanging out.
Yep.
But you're standing in line waiting for a drink. Yeah. It's like, okay, I guess. It's just like a pretty major inconvenience. I will say that one shot thing, I did not come up with that myself. I saw it actually at a wedding at another coffee cart, and I was like, it was interesting. Yeah. I'm gonna take that. Yeah. So,
but on top, you're right, because part of your responsibility, if you have a coffee cart and you're catering events, is understanding understanding space and understanding the space you're gonna work with. It's like setting up and working at a new cafe every day, basically. And because, like if you're running a cafe, the importance of the queue line. You want people to wait and cycle out, and you don't want people to be clustered in the middle. Same thing with when you're at an event and you're setting up and you're like, okay, where's the general flow of people? Like, are you going to be walking drinks out to people?
Right.
Like, oh, how are people going to receive their drinks? When are they going to know that their drink is ready? Are you going to be shouting names like in a cafe? That might not be, super nice at a wedding. Yeah. You're yelling like, 12-ounce Americano. Like you don't really want that. Yeah. But you want to make sure that people know how the flow of things are. You want to make sure that you still, again, like hospitality doesn't disappear just because it's not in a cafe. Actually, I would say like it's hospitality at an event is so specific that you even have to be even more next level. when it comes to that.
Right.
Like, and when I had the opportunity, like we had Maddie helping too, so she was able to run a drink and seeing people. And it's like, we also like, you can't, there's no tickets. We didn't have tickets. Tickets might've been helpful, but it's more or less, oh yeah, who ordered this? Oh, the guy in the white shirt with a big beard.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like you know what I mean? And it's like, we weren't technically taking names. Some people we did because we knew them, but making those connections and like, okay, how can I serve that guy or that person like in the best way possible? Do I need to bring that drink out? Can I bring that drink out? Do that bar intelligence in keeping hospitality paramount at an event, it's key. The coffee is going to leave a spot for you, for someone, and be like, okay, like that coffee was yummy, but that person, dude, that person was incredible. You know, whether it's like, oh, that outfit of that person left a memorable thing, the way that person spoke to me, like, please, just because it's a coffee cart, you don't eliminate the concept of hospitality. So take that to the next level. That is how you're going to get more bookings. Yeah. People are going to remember you as much or more than the coffee you served.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, there's a lot that we could cover. I think we've covered a ton. This is, I would say this is just like so high value. like if you're catering and you're getting into it, this is the stuff that you should be kind of just making note of, because it will help you a lot. So anyways, thanks for listening, folks. We will be dropping a very limited amount of this geisha on the website. We have like one more roast of it or so it's going to be a few bags. We might have some earlier rested roasts up for sale, so keep an eye out for that, maybe next week or the week after, whenever we get the labels. But friends, thank you so much for listening to another episode of the Coffee Roaster Warm Sessions podcast, and as we always say, remember, reflect what's good.